Alrighty. All right, hey guys. So I am back with another pre-recorded movie review. This is for the Ambw channel, and today, or tonight rather, I will be reviewing the film Scream from 2022, which obviously is this year. Now obviously, like I just said, this is a movie called Scream, but I don't want you to get it twisted. I'm not reviewing the 1996 Scream. I'm reviewing the new Scream movie that just came out a couple weeks ago or so. But they share the same name. So yeah. So all right, cool. So right off the bat, I would give this film a B minus, maybe C plus, B minus ish. This movie was directed by Matt Bettinelli Open and Tyler Gillette. I believe they are formerly known as part of the directing team or whatever that's called Radio Silence. They also directed a film called Ready or Not, which came out in, was it 3 years ago now? Yeah, a little less than 3 years ago. So, but yeah, so basically, I will be reviewing this movie. Let's get right into it. Like I said, I gave this movie a B minus, and the reason is because while I was thoroughly entertained, I feel like this movie still has a lot of problems with it. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the Scream franchise, the Scream franchise is basically, it all started with Scream, which came out in 1996, and it has since then spawned 4 sequels. And so what happened in the original was that this movie is basically sort of like a meta commentary on horror movies. And sort of since 1996, it's sort of been, like I literally just said, like, it's been a commentary, sort of a parody, almost like a parody of like horror films, except it is an actual horror film. It's basically about this horror film obsessed killer, or I guess, spoiler alert, killers, because there's more than one. Usually there's more than one, except for one movie. And usually the killers are obsessed with horror films, and so because of that, they're always out to basically create their own, horror movie, in real life within the context of the film. So they start killing people off, and specifically their main target always seems to be a girl named Sydney Prescott, who is no longer a girl. Obviously, she's a woman. But when the series started, she was a high schooler, and she was being targeted by the killer, who turned out to be her boyfriend, named Billy Loomis, as well as his accomplice Stu. And like I said, she was targeted throughout the film. A lot of her friends died. It was explained at one point in the film that her mother, who is also a main character in this franchise, but is not really on screen, she basically had slept around, which caused a lot of tension. And because of that, her boyfriend, at that time, basically took revenge because he blamed her for, he blamed Sydney's mother for splitting up his family, because Billy Loomis's father slept with Sydney's mother, and I guess he blamed her for that. So basically, he and his accomplice Stu raped and murdered her mother. And then in this film, in Scream 1996, that's when it all happens, and that's when he goes after Sydney. And obviously, she survived that film. She killed him and his accomplice, and ever since then, it's just sort of been the same thing over and over again. Well, jump to present day, which is 2022 Scream, and it's 25 years later, right? Or 25 years later since the original. And so we have a new protagonist, and her name is Sam Carpenter. She is played by Melissa Barrera. Sorry. I fucked up that name twice. But yeah, so basically, Sam is the new sort of kind of Sydney, basically. She plays a character named Sam who returns home after her estranged sister, played by, what was her name? Jenna Ortega, who is named, I'm my own thoughts on her, but Jenna Ortega plays her sister in the film, and her character's name, I believe, is Tara. And so when the film starts, Sam is visiting her estranged sister, and Tara and Sam just so happen to be from the same exact town that Sydney Prescott was from in the very original. So basically, she goes there after Tara was attacked, because the film opens. Tara is attacked by a killer with basically another copycat killer of the original. So this killer is targeting Tara for whatever reason. It's a brutal attack. It's a very violent attack. It's not as violent or gory as some people are saying, though. I disagree with that. I disagree with a lot of things about this movie, but that's one of the things that I had issue with. And so she survives the attack. She's hospitalized. And Sam comes back along with her boyfriend, played by Jack Quaid, who you may better know as what's his name, Huey. I think his name is Huey from The Boys. I've never seen an episode of that show. It just doesn't interest me. But basically, he's in this movie, he plays her boyfriend, and he was okay. He was all right. But yeah, so basically, this movie, they're visiting the sister character, and then the attacks keep happening, and then people start getting killed, and then in traditional Scream fashion, you bring in the sort of, I guess, reoccurring characters throughout the whole series. So Sidney Prescott comes back, played by Neve Campbell. Gail Weathers, played by Courtney Cox, also comes back, and Dewey Riley, who was played by David Arquette, also come back. So all three of them are back, and it's kind of hard to talk about it without spoiling it. So spoiler alert, I will be talking about spoilers. So if you don't want to know what happens in Scream 2022, don't listen to this review, because at this point, from this one on, I'm just talking fucking spoilers. I'm gonna spoil the fuck out of it. Okay, so basically, like I just said, everyone, there are a lot of deaths in this movie. There's a lot of sort of Easter eggs also. If you are a fan of the long-running franchise, then you will notice a lot of Scream Easter eggs. I was surprised to know that certain people from the very original who were killed off and had not been seen in the franchise since are actually in this film as well. Drew Barrymore, who played Casey Becker in the original opening Scream victim, she's in this film, but she's not on screen. She plays the voice of the principal, I believe. And then Matthew Lillard is in a couple scenes, although you don't see his face. Let's see, what's his name? Jamie Kennedy plays Randy. He's also in it, the same thing, off screen. Although his character is mentioned throughout, and I believe he lends his voice to it. So, basically, almost everyone, even people who died in the original, are all back in some form. And so, one of my issues with a lot of the Scream movies, except for Scream 1, was that there was sort of a lack of stakes, a lack of real tension. And for horror movies, I guess it's kind of very uncommon occurrence to have the same characters throughout, because usually the characters get killed off somehow. Well, it took 5 movies, but one of the main characters finally dies. Okay, and that character is Dewey Riley, is former Woodsboro sheriff or deputy, whatever. He gets killed off in this movie, and honestly, here's the thing: it was shocking, but at the same time, if you've seen the trailer for this movie, it makes it so obvious. They don't try to hide it. They're basically foreshadowing his death. So if you've seen the trailer, you already know what happens. He gets killed off, unfortunately, trying to save, the main characters. It's a big hospital fight scene, and he gets killed off, unfortunately. It's pretty bloody, but, hey, his death, it does add tension and stakes, right, to this film. Because up until this point, Dewey, Gail, and Sidney had all survived, all 5 movies, right, or all 4 movies, whatever. And it's kind of like, okay, we're just kind of going through the motions. Well, this time we got a new director, Radio Silence. We got new cast. We got a new screenwriter, everything like that. And so now things are a little bit different. And now, the stakes are a little bit different. So I did appreciate that approach. I did like the fact that they had the balls to kill off one of the main characters finally. And it made sense because his death reunites Sidney with Gail. You know what I mean? Sidney, when we see her in this film, she's apparently, it's off screen again, but she's apparently married to a cop who we actually was introduced in Scream 3, but has not been seen since. And she also is married to him and has kids and everything like that. But she comes back in this film after Dewey is killed, and she reunites with Gail. When the film starts, we learn that also Gail and Dewey have divorced, because I guess, up until this point, they started a relationship, they started dating, they got married. And then when the film opens, we realize that Dewey is not in a good place. He's divorced from Gail, he's living in a trailer, he's an alcoholic, and it seems like he's been let go from the police force. So he's basically kind of down in the dumps. So, but he gets a little bit of redemption hero moment, but then goes out. He does get killed. And so, but I thought that scene, the reactions especially from Gail, I thought the acting was a lot better in this movie, especially from Courtney Cox and David Arquette. I thought they both did a good job. Neve Campbell is literally only in 3 scenes, so there's not really a whole lot to critique her on, but I will say it was nice to see her in this franchise. It was nice to see her in this film. Really good to see her in this film, and I thought she was used well. I thought she did a good job. Everyone's a little bit older, but fuck it. That's what happens. I mean, everyone gets older. They get older, we get older, I get older, you get older. It just happens. And so it was nice to see, everyone back. Spoiler alert: Neve Campbell does survive again. Courtney Cox also survives again, but again, they also had the balls to kill off the other person, which was Dewey, David Arquette. So he's gone, probably not coming back, or at least not in the traditional sense. I guess they could always bring him back somehow, but he's gone. So they eliminated his character, and now at the third act of this film, we realize, we get the unmasking of the killers, right? The ghost-based killers, and that's always like a big part of these films. Like, who is it? Who done it? Who's the killer or killers? And so in this one, I will say this, kind of a hot take, because I've been reading a lot of reviews. A lot of people have been saying that the identity of the killers is kind of underwhelming, doesn't make sense, but I actually liked the reveal. I like the killers, and the killers are played by, like I said, I mentioned his name before, but it's Jack Quaid from The Boys, and it's also Ambw. Her character's name is Ambw, played by Mikey Madison. And there's two killers in this film, which isn't a surprise. But I've been seeing a lot of complaints about how Ambw sort of manhandles basically all her victims in this movie, because a lot of her victims are a lot bigger and stronger than her, right? Especially Dewey, or David Arquette is what, like 6 something, and he used to wrestle, so he's not exactly a small person, short guy. But she apparently is the one who kills him in the hospital after they have the whole fight, and he gets distracted, so she butchers the fuck out of him basically. But a lot of people have complained, oh, a 5'1" little girl couldn't manhandle someone like that. Number one, it's a fucking movie. They're gonna do whatever they want. So I accepted that suspension of disbelief and just went with it. I thought the acting from the killers was a lot better. I loved Ambw as the killer. I thought her performance was completely unhinged, and it was refreshing. I thought she did a good job. I thought the other killer, yeah, I could do without. I mean, like, he does a good job, but as a killer, it's just, he comes off as really kind of cartoonish and over the top. And their whole motive being that they are toxic fanboys or fangirls or whatever, and that they're trying to, create more original source material, quote unquote, for in order for Hollywood to start making better horror movies, because they've been so off track and off topic that they're like, these fanboys are so disillusioned. They're like, fuck it, let's just recreate another Scream movie in real life, and then Hollywood will take notice of all these, and then they'll create another movie. It'll be better. I like that motivation. I really did. I actually thought it was very original and a really nice take on toxic fandom. So yeah, I liked it. What I didn't like was the lack of character development in this film. And when I say that, I'm talking kind of almost about everybody, really. Because this movie, even though it's almost 2 hours, it just flies by. There's not a whole lot of time devoted to developing these characters. The only person that we really kind of get to know is Sam and Dewey. And Dewey bites it, like, in the second act. Sam is the main character, and I agree with a lot of people saying that her character wasn't that great, because she wasn't. She was kind of vanilla. She was kind of plain. But she survived this movie along with her sister, along with Sydney and Gail. So I have no doubt that we'll see more of these characters in the future, in the future sequels, and we'll probably get more development there. So I'm holding out hope there. It was entertaining. I thought the pacing was good. I like the killers. I didn't like the lack of character development. I didn't like the fact that that both Sydney and Gail survive again. I thought if Dewey was going to die, you could at least kill one of them off, or kill at least one of the other two ladies off, like Gail, right? Because she's kind of distraught at the end of the movie because her ex love of her life or whatever is gone now for the first time. So I thought her acting is fine. I just feel like, again, if you're gonna start, then you shouldn't half-ass. You got to go all the way. So maybe in the sequels they'll ramp up the tension or whatever. But that was basically it. I mean, look, we're 5 movies into this franchise. You basically know what you're gonna get. If you've seen all the other movies, you know exactly what you're gonna get. It's entertaining, though. I will say it's entertaining. Not as bad as Scream 3. Scream 3 is still the biggest piece of shit in this franchise, followed by Scream 4. But I still enjoy these movies. I kind of grew up with these movies. They were among the first R-rated movies I saw as a kid, growing up in the mid-90s or so. And so, yeah, they were kind of a big deal, and they're still a big deal. So this movie's out in theaters right now. It's called Scream. I would recommend it, even though I'm getting a B-. I would recommend it. Because I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining. If nothing else, it was entertaining, and I wasn't really bored. You know, so I will say this. This is kind of off topic. I'm tired of seeing like the Hollywood trope of pairing up a non-white female with a white male in Hollywood. It happens here. It happens in every fucking movie, pretty much almost, with a white male lead. And I'm fucking sick of it. You know what I mean? I'm fucking sick of it. But anyway, before I get off tangent, I'm gonna end this review. I would say go see it. Go see the film, and like, comment, subscribe to this channel if you're not already. And yuppers. So I will be seeing you guys in the next video, which should be coming sooner than later. So until then, ciao.